Silver Dollar City is home to, in my opinion, the best Christmas event at a theme park. An Old Time Christmas is their award-winning annual winter festival in November and December. This video will be a review of the event, explaining what you can expect from an atmosphere, operational, attraction, and food perspective. Silver Dollar City is already one of the most beautiful parks in the country, located in the Ozark Mountains in Branson, Missouri. The retro 1880s theme is extremely immersive and charming, but it becomes even more magical at Christmas. The park has nearly 7 million Christmas lights, and I absolutely believe it. All sections of the park are adorned in bright twinkling lights. Midways, gift shops, ride stations, they all have dazzling lights. It truly is special and a sight to behold. But the two best areas are Town Square and Christmas in Midtown. Town Square is home to the park's impressive $1.5 million 80-foot tall Christmas tree. Calling it a spectacle is an understatement. Beyond the colossal size, the tree has a dynamic lighting package synchronized with music in what the park dubs their Joy on Main Street experience. Many people were just sitting on a bench staring in awe at the tree, and I don't blame them one bit. It's an attraction in itself. And then there's Christmas in Midtown. Debuting in 2017, this section of the park has 70,000 square feet or 6,500 square meters of lights and displays. This takes the already amazing aesthetic to new levels of beauty. Even though there were more direct routes I could have taken in between attractions, I kept making detours through this area to see the lights one more time. They were that good. Plus, the staff, which is already among the friendliest in the world, is even more cheerful at Christmas. It's impossible not to have a smile on your face with such a joyful atmosphere between that staff and the sights. And the perfect marriage of the lights and staff is Rudolph's Holly Jolly Christmas Parade. Weather permitting, at least twice per night, the parade travels from the Grand Exposition, past Town Square, and down Hugo's Hill towards Powder Keg. The parade has 9 floats, illuminated with 200,000 ultra-bright LED lights, each containing animated Christmas scenes. You also have 45 costumed characters and dancers, plus an accompanying musical score. The parade is not to be missed, and while it is short, it's one of the best parades I've seen anywhere. Most people try to watch the parade in Town Square by the tree. It's similar to what you see at Disney Park when people want to watch the parade by the castle. For that reason, I strongly recommend watching the parade at either the start or end of the route. There will be far less crowds there, which will make it easier for a coveted front row view. And one secret spot I actually recommend is back by Outlaw Run. While it's technically not on the parade route, the floats need to pass by here to reach the backstage area for storage at the conclusion of the show. I saw the parade once along the official route and once back here. You have less time to see each float, but you still have the same great visuals, booming music, energetic actors and actresses, and absolutely no one else is back there with you. It's a great spot to watch it. Many seasonal parks have severely reduced ride offerings for Christmas events. For example, the nearby Worlds of Fun only has half their rides open, including just 3 of the roller coasters. And the nearby Six Flags St. Louis has the back section of the park closed, including Boomerang, Screamin' Eagle, and Boss. Meanwhile, Silver Dollar City has every section of the park open and every single ride operating except the water rides. While that is disappointing to have the awesome American Plunge Log Flume and unique Mystic River Falls River Rapids rides closed, it is completely understandable with the chilly weather. But all other attractions are open. All 7 roller coasters, all flat rides, all indoor rides, the Marvel Cave Tour, and the park's extensive show collection. The only potential hiccup is the weather. Lightning understandably will close every outdoor ride. Fortunately, most rides will run in the rain. The only exceptions are Powder Keg, and 3 of the rides in the Grand Exposition area in the Grand Exposition Coaster, Electrospin, and Mighty Galleon. But the biggest issue in November, and particularly December, are the cold temperatures. Prior to visiting, I strongly recommend checking the day's expected temperatures. Silver Dollar City has a page on their website detailing the minimum startup and shutdown temperatures for every single attraction in the park. If the temperature is above 42 degrees Fahrenheit, you won't have any issues with any ride. Grand Exposition Coaster has the highest cutoff at 42 degrees. Time Traveler has a cutoff at 41 degrees. Then Powder Keg and Wildfire have cutoffs at 40 degrees. The rest of the rides have cutoffs in the 30 degrees, including the indoor rides, although for those ones to close, the building's interior temperature needs to dip below freezing, or 32 degrees Fahrenheit, which is exceedingly rare. As expected, temperature becomes more of an issue later in the day and season. For comparison, the average high and low in November is 56 degrees and 35 degrees respectively, but in December, the average highs and lows are roughly 10 degrees less. If you're visiting on a day where the temperature will be hovering around the shutdown range for an attraction you want to hit, make sure to prioritize it as soon as you see the ride operational. And even if the ride can only operate for a short period of time, Silver Dollar City will do everything they can to have the ride open and running at full capacity. For example, in my most recent visit, the high for the day was only about 40.5 degrees. The park still opened Powder Keg for a half hour until the temperature dipped below 40 degrees. I was really appreciative of that because I was able to get 3 rides in Powder Keg before it went down due to temperatures. For that reason, I would try to recommend visiting in November if possible, as the temperature's a bit higher so you're less likely to run into that issue. Plus, the crowds also tend to be a bit lighter because you're further away from Christmas. And if you plan to visit during an old-time Christmas, make sure to bundle up because it gets chilly when the sun goes down, especially if you're rocketing through the woods on one of the park's many roller coasters. One of the other major benefits of the Christmas event is that you usually get at least 4 hours of night rides each day. Night rides at Silver Dollar City are legendary. It is pitch black on a majority of their coasters once the sun goes down, as many of them ride out into the woods. But night rides are exceedingly hard to come by usually. They can only be experienced during the few Moonlight Madness weeks in summer, Harvest Festival in October, or an old-time Christmas. And the star for me is Outlaw Run. It's an elite coaster by day, but it's otherworldly at night when there's zero light on the course. It feels like you're plunging into a black hole and you can't even see the track ahead of you. That makes all the off-axis and crazy elements even wilder. Thunderation is similarly dark. Powder Keg, Wildfire, and Time Traveler have a few lights nearby, but a majority of the layouts are concealed in darkness. But by day, many of these coasters are actually more exposed than usual. In the main season, when the trees are in bloom, you can barely see any of the layouts for Thunderation, Powder Keg, and Outlaw Run. In winter, you can see elements off in the distance that are typically shielded. So if you're into ride photography, this is the best time of year to get shots of those typically elusive coasters. It's also a great time of year to marathon those coasters. Because of the cooler weather and special holiday offerings, ride lines are usually shorter than the main season, especially if you visit on a weekday. But if the lines do back up, you still have the option to purchase a Trailblazer Pass to skip the lines. Like many parks, Silver Dollar City adds a holiday overlay to one of their attractions. The Frisco Silver Dollar Line steam train turns into the Sing-Along steam train. Passengers ride into the woods, caroling, and the show scene in the middle is completely changed. The hold-up sequence is replaced by a visit from Grandpa, who recounts the story how Jesus was born, complete with timed light displays. Just know this ride won't open until later in the day, and at least when I visited, it had the longest wait by far, so it seemed common to have to wait for the next train departure. The park also has several seasonal shows. You have a series of musical offerings, plus 2 Broadway-style productions in It's a Wonderful Life and A Christmas Carol. Make sure to show up early for the latter 2 shows if they're a priority for you, because they can often hit capacity and they're extremely well done. Although if you want to guarantee a seat, you can purchase a Show Lovers Pass, which functions similarly to the Trailblazer Pass for the rides. Silver Dollar City's food is always top-notch, and not surprisingly, they have a few seasonal offerings throughout the park. I personally stick with my favorites you can get all season, but every food item here has always been nothing short of great, so those seasonal options are probably good too. You also have seasonal merchandise too, particularly at the Hospitality House and the gift shop at the exit. So do I recommend visiting an old-time Christmas at Silver Dollar City? Without a doubt, yes. It's an amazing event in all areas. The lights, the sounds, the staff, the rides, the food. Silver Dollar City is one of my favorite parks in the world, and I think Christmas is the most special time of year to visit this park. The only two downsides are that the water rides are closed, and that you do run a slight risk of low temperatures causing rides to close or not even open. If the water rides being closed are a major issue for you, I recommend visiting earlier in the season. And if you're coming from a distance and want to minimize your risk of temperature-related ride closures, I recommend visiting in November, as I said earlier, and giving yourself at least 2 days. If you're like me, you'll want to spend more than 1 day at this amazing park anyway, but it also mitigates you risking missing signature attractions. One last note, if you've been to Smoky Mountain Christmas at Dollywood, an old-time Christmas at Silver Dollar City is very similar in terms of the atmosphere, experience, and offerings. I just prefer Silver Dollar City overall to Dollywood, but both parks are fantastic. So those are my thoughts on an old-time Christmas at Silver Dollar City, my favorite Christmas event. Have you been here? What are your thoughts? I would love to hear what you think down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate if you gave it a like and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching, and Merry Christmas to all and Happy Holidays.